Welcome back to Opio's laboratory. Last time we fixed an iPhone 6 and 6S charging system, a phone that was heavily clogged in that and also had a widened port. So I thought I should come and review a few concepts about the phone's charging system. So if you're new to the channel, please do hit the subscribe button. Here at Opio's laboratory, you should learn repairs both as a hobby and as a business, from home appliances to electronics to smartphones and anything that you can find in your homestead that uses power. Anyway, let's get started. You might have noticed that it was an iPhone 6 that we worked on last time, and I believe that iPhone 6 is right here. So anyways, let's talk about the charging, not charging issue. So our case was a situation where we had a port failure, and that's basically, it is an interface. Now, when we actually talk about the port, it is basically a simple connection to allow you connect your device to power such that you can recharge it. And as such, any connection has to be snug, in other words, not widened. And then it has to be firm, in other words, it should be well anchored to support the pushing and pulling force when you insert it, not the bending force. Never bend your phone's charging system or USB while in the port. Just push in, pull out. That's it. Anyway, when we talk about connections, you may need to understand one or two concepts here, among which is conduction. And conduction, this is simply looking at conductors, that is metals, things that actually allow electrons to freely flow through them. And now when you know conduction and conductors, that brings us to the concept of continuity. If you're able to measure the resistance or conductance of a wire, you can be able to estimate continuity. Continuity simply will imply that something is moving from one end and to the other without terminating in between. So and that's simply what continuity is. In other words, something continuous from one end to another. Now, having said that, we have to understand the concept of soldering. And when we talk of soldering, we are taken into the realms of chemistry. Now, in chemistry, we are looking at the chemistry of mixtures, particularly mixtures of metals, and that is to imply alloys. And in our case, the alloy we are interested in is solder. Solder simply being an alloy of tin and lead in relative proportions. And this is what allows us to establish connections. Now, at this point, I should say, hit the subscribe button, because we intend to start teaching you the theory of the physics behind repairs, and that will be as soon as we hit 100 subscribers. Please share with a friend. Let us reach there sooner than later. And we talked of the port, so we are coming back to two things that the port actually does, and that's power transmission to the phone, and the second is data transmission. Those are the two major functions that your charging port does. But in the previous video, we actually looked at the types of ports, basically USB. You will actually know that there is USB-A, and that is the one that enters most of the laptop ports, and you might have seen it. This is just me trying to illustrate it. It's like that, and it simply has 4 connections inside, 2 for power and 2 for data. And then we talk of USB-B. That is the one that you mostly see with printers. If you've had one before, mostly the part that enters into the printer. And then now, because we were dealing with a smartphone, there are 3 that are of utmost importance if you want to be able to understand the ports of a smartphone. So we shall talk of the USB mini. Now, this is relatively old. There are 5 terminals: positive, negative for power, positive, negative for data, and then the 5th one, which is the so-called enable pin, that allows data to go into the phone and out of the phone through to an external USB device. Then the second or 4th USB type is the USB micro, and this is actually found in almost 80% of the smartphones that ever existed. So there's a chance that even as I speak, you have one next to you. Now, until recently, the concept of a reversible port was far-fetched, except with Apple's Thunderbolts, and hence the Android world decided to coin the USB Type-C. Now, your USB Type-C is reversible. In other words, you can actually plug it into your phone without even looking at it. It will enter in any orientation. And for it, as opposed to the USB micro and mini found in phones, it actually has 24 pins, unlike the 5 for USB micro and USB mini. That is 4 for power, 4 for ground, negative, and then 16 for data transmission. Actually, the Type-C lately allows for audio. Phones without earphone jacks are utilizing the Type-C to send audio. Anyway, hit the subscribe button, because here at Appeals Laboratory we shall teach you repairs, both practically, theoretically, and experimentally. So come back every Tuesday and Saturday. Saturday we bring you real hands-on repairs, and Tuesday we actually hope to bring you reviews such as this. It's a bit unfortunate that this one has to come on a Saturday, but we shall rectify that anytime soon. Thank you. Subscribe, share. Remember, we need to hit 100 subscribers. Oh, I wrote 1,000. Yes, 1,000 subscribers by the end of October. As for now, immediately we hit 100 subscribers, we shall teach the physics behind repairs. This was simply highlight and review of a phone not charging in there.